this might sound a bit silly, but it's not a good time to be an animator. That if you actually work at a big studio that is like, I don't know, Warner Brothers, Disney, So yeah, you know where this is going. On the other side of the pond, however, in terms of independent animation, it's never been a better time, and it shows, especially when people from big studios are making a huge ruckus through strikes, such as the SAG-AFTRA strikes right now. I said before that a lot of people from the generations after mine, especially Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, are talented artists in the sort, and I'm not just talking about your average TikTok garbage. I'm talking instead about talented filmmakers, musicians, artists, and more importantly, for this video, animators. Because oh boy, we've seen a whole myriad of successful animations this generation in the independent animation genre. One of the few animated series that caught my eye was the Amazing Digital Circus. Yes, haha, because Connie recommended it to me and she's obsessed with Pomni, and I'm obsessed now with Pomni, which is a magnificent work of talented animation by itself, even though it's just a pilot episode for now. But it's not just the Digital Circus. It also works like Hazbin Hotel, which luckily got into Amazon Prime Video. Congrats. Hell of a Boss, Murder Drones, and Like a Daisy. And that's just a few mentions. Okay, yeah, I know. I'm going to get at least one pissed off Bipsy hater in the comments probably. These are works of talent and art. It shows more effort and passion than that of anything Cartoon Network shows of these days, or Netflix, or literally anything made by any big studio, because let's face it, we feel already too inundated with the same copy-paste style animation series and series that tried so hard to be like Family Guy on steroids. We are talking about indie animation studios that are not backed by big studios and still manage to pull pure artistry. Then this has been pretty much a staple of constancy since the Newgrounds days. In contrast, big studios are just taking big giant L's. And it's not just in terms of facing gigantic worker strikes. BB has been cancelled without nothing to show for it, which is incredibly depressing to see how executives at Turner will just throw off anything that for them is a tax write-off or similar. Gemfling knows whatever happened with Smiling Friends or what the hell is going on with it at Adult Swim. And honestly, have you seen how it treasures shit like Belma is? This is pretty much a sign of the times we're living in. People are noticing patterns within big studios and are actually rebelling against them by watching independent animation instead. You know this because of the amount of views the Amazing Digital Circus has on one single day, and anything like an Adventure Time episode these days will only get less than a fraction than that. And I'm talking about the Amazing Digital Circus. If I were to talk about the enormous influence Bipsy Pop has with the Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss, I never end this video. But I'm dragging for too long in here, and I want to get to the main point of this video, which is pretty much a call to action at this point. Support indie animation. Now it's a good time to support indie animation more than ever. And you might be even wondering, how the hell do you even do that? Well, they're obviously not backed by huge studios. It's pretty simple, especially if you want to financially support them. For instance, the folks at Glitch, the creators of the Amazing Digital Circus and Murder Drones, have set up a merch store with hoodies and plushies and the sort, where at least you get something out of it. Like a Daisy and other similar projects are also Kickstarter campaigns and the sort where you could fund these series financially. And if it wasn't because of Hazbin Hotel was an Amazon Prime Video collecting Amazon royalties from Prime subscriptions, BBC Pop has plenty of ways to financially sustain them. But JMAA, you might be wondering too, what if I don't have the money? Well, just because you don't have the money doesn't mean you cannot support these animators because of even a retweet or to any of their Twitter promos or anything can help them collect more potential viewers and consumers willing to probably give them more money than you do. There are plenty of ways to support indie animation, and backing up Warner Brothers and the sort ain't one of them. I also say this because it kind of screws me over that so many of our current and future generations artists and the sort are not able to escape the horrible reality of capitalism's 9-to-5 jobs, and because of this, JMAA.tv has solidified its core philosophy as we speak. In a recent blog post we made at JMAA.tv, we talk about our future plans and how we're willing to boost and impulse a plethora of talents of similar ideological grounds in a sort of worker co-op. JMAA.tv works as some sort of talent incubator where we help unleash the lockdown potential of those talents from the grip of capitalistic society. And seeing all these talented animators from the indie animation scene do their thing aside of other circumstances give us hope to know that we're probably making our core idea come true. Especially considering the channel has been rolled out in the light version of the YouTube Partner Program, that is monetization through memberships, super chats, and so on. We're able to push this further, and we also got plans, at least in my head, of doing animated series of sorts. Even then, if that doesn't somehow happen, just know that there's still also the Goon Fund of BecomeAGoon.today, which also helps. I can't spoil too much of what's going on to be one of our flagship animated series, but if you checked out games like Sass vs. Fash, you might get an idea of what this is about. The most important thing is that the old vanguard of big studios and corporations is starting to probably die out, and it's pretty much giving way to us, the independent artists and creators, to have a foreseeable future. So, as I say, life's good.